Hello everyone, this is lecture 4 and today finally we're going to start our introduction to server-side programming, and for that we're going to learn the basics of PHP programming. So let's go and start our introduction. So what is PHP? Okay, it's a scripting language and it stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. As you might guess, this is a recursive acronym, yeah, and then no one knows what exactly PHP really means. And it is commonly used for server-side scripting, right? So what I mean by server-side scripting, as we know from our introduction lecture, from our first lecture, when we're talking about web development, we have two parts, right? We have a client-side part, which is what happens inside the browser, and we have a server-side part, which what happens on the web server, what web server does to generate that content for us. Okay, so if we would like to generate our content based on a certain context dynamically, then we will need a certain programming language to dynamically generate that content, right? And there are multiple different languages that can enable us, okay, generating this kind of content using them. Initially, it was CGI, and then people came up with different programming languages like Perl or like ASP. They became very popular. And now we have PHP, and we have many other like Java server pages or ASP.NET. We got different like Python, right? So we got different scripting languages that can be used, that can be invoked by the web server to generate the dynamic content that is requested by the user. Okay, and PHP is just one of those languages. So he's used to make web pages dynamic, basically provide the different content depending on the context, depending on the data that the user is actually requesting, depending on the type of a request the user is actually sending to that web server, right? We can go and write that logic. We can decide what to send to the user from the server to the client. So the user will get that as a inside the HTTP response, and then can just renders it on his browser, right? So yeah, because it runs on the web server as a script, as an ordinary script, it has an interface to other services. Like the database or email server or anything. Like most of that can be again established by another socket connection, and then I can go and establish a socket connection to my database server or email server or anything, or I can go and access files from my file system. I can do something on the memory as well. I can use certain third-party libraries, okay, on the web server to do complex operations, complex tasks, and I can even use the compiled libraries that are not written in PHP but maybe written in C++ or Java to do certain things, right? So in a fast and easier way. Another important thing that web server-side scripting languages do is authenticating users. Because we have an access to the database, we can store all the information about user in the database. And of course, with the data that the user sent to us, we can go and check if this user actually exists in our database. And if this user exists, then we can go and authenticate that user, provide all the access he's requesting, right? We can go and accept new information from the user, right? So this is called form processing. In fact, users can go and fill in certain forms and then send the data that is within that particular form to us. The PHP script can go and read this data and then, do something with that data, maybe store it in a database or maybe send an email or maybe do something like some processing, okay? So again, it depends on what sort of application we are trying to design here, right? So another important thing about PHP is that it is embedded inside HTML, and it's unlike many other programming languages. The PHP, is a text processing language in the first place, right? And everything is designed in such a way that it's easy to process text using this particular programming language, yeah. Okay, so it has slightly different way of writing scripts. Okay, so you normally write things in a different way when we write a script, but in PHP there's a possibility of embedding the snippets inside something else, right? So that's the most important kind of feature of PHP, and that's why I guess it is actively used for web development and server-side scripting in general. But of course, you can use PHP for other purposes as well, not necessarily for generating web content, for any other things, right? For writing certain scripts that would automate your system, or maybe for processing some random text, right? Generating a new random text. Not necessarily PHP is a language which is only used for web. It is just popular within web development community, with the web developers community. Okay, so let me just give a quick insight about how this process is actually happens step by step when you go and try to access some dynamic web page from your web browser. So you normally go and type in something like this, okay, some PHP page. You can go and write it down, okay? So what usually the browser will do, we know that it will go and send a HTTP GET request to the web server at this particular host. Okay, so the web server will go and find that PHP file, okay, from its file system, and then before it goes and sends it, okay, takes its content and puts it into the HTTP response, it does one more step. It goes and runs the PHP preprocessor, PHP interpreter on that particular script, right? So it goes and executes that script. So the execution of that script will result in some HTML output or some textual output. So the web server will simply takes that HTML output or text output, puts it into the HTTP response body, okay, and then sends it back to the user's computer. So the user can go and now see whichever this particular script actually generated, it goes and sees that, and it can view it, and it can further go and click certain things, and then the browser will simply repeat the same loop, maybe accessing other dynamic scripts, and those dynamic scripts will generate those contents as well. So it's not that difficult. We can actually see this entire picture. It is quite simple. So now what we're going to do is we will be actually writing this server-side scripts using this language called PHP, and then we'll be doing what kind of requests we can get and how can we go and generate different things here. And another question you might ask is, okay, why we actually use PHP? Why not Python, or why not something else like JSP or ASP? Okay, there are a lot of different like for example, some people even like I mean, we're talking about server-side scripting languages, and there are many of them, right? So so why we choose this particular language? Okay, there are many of them, and I can't let's say list all of those technologies in this lecture, but what is actually clear here is that PHP is, first of all, it's an open source and free, and most importantly, it is very popular for server-side scripting, and it's also very simple. Okay, it's also a mature programming language because it's been out there for web development for the last 35 years, and any bug or anything that it contains, it's been actually fixed or patched, and it's quite stable, right? And we also know that there are major companies like Facebook or WordPress. They use PHP, and maybe they use other languages as well, like Node.js, for example, for their server-side programming. But initially they started with Facebook, and nowadays most of these services are still in PHP. If you go and check the GitHub in 2020, you can find out that the PHP is the fourth popular language among all other programming languages, like including Java and Python and all that stuff, right? So PHP is still popular. It's in the top 5. It's the most popular language. And most importantly, it is the most demanded programming language in Uzbekistan. Okay, so if you are kind of aiming at becoming a web developer, most employers really expect you to have this basic background about server-side programming, and they want it to be at least in PHP. Okay, so later maybe you can go and switch to some other technology. Again, so the idea here is we will go and learn PHP not because PHP is the, let's say, is something that you would like to continue your career in the future. No, it is just to illustrate you what is server-side programming in general, and how we can go and understand that with the help of this particular language, right? So that is basically just the means of understanding the entire server-side scripting and the concepts that are related to that process. So before we go and start doing something on PHP, let's go and we have to prepare our computer for running, let's say, a web server, which will support the PHP interpreter. So basically, we need to go and install the PHP interpreter and anything that follows that. So instead of going and downloading the PHP interpreter like separately, we can go and download the entire bundle. The bundle is named XAMPP. Okay, so XAMPP means X is just stands for the operating system. So you can find the distribution for that bundle for 3 major operating systems: the Linux, Windows, and Mac. So whichever operating system you're using, you can go and download that. So A stands for a web server, which is called Apache. M is the database management system, it's the MySQL. And this P stands for PHP preprocessor, okay, PHP interpreter. So this bundle already contains that particular PHP preprocessor. So we're going to use that preprocessor, and the second P actually represents Perl. We are not going to use Perl, but we will need this P, okay, out from this bundle. Of course, we'll be using this A, we'll be using this M, MySQL in the next lectures. But the most important thing here is that the PHP preprocessor within this given bundle. So let me go and download. I mean, you can go and click this link, and it basically takes you to the downloads page. Okay, so depending on your operating system, you should download the version that you're looking for. Okay, so what I'm recommending is I'm using the minimum version here, and I also recommend you to go and use the 7.3. But you can also go and choose a little bit advanced versions as well, like 8, for example. Again, depending on the operating system. So you can basically download, this is the Windows. So you download this particular file and then just simply go through the installation. So what I did is I installed this thing into my F directory. So it will ask you where you would like to install it. Inside, it will be some sort of a XAMPP file. Okay, so you can go and create some XAMPP file and then, XAMPP folder, and inside that XAMPP folder, you're going to find all the files for your application, right? So, and then you can see that there is a PHP folder as well. This PHP folder contains this PHP exe file. This is the interpreter that we are looking for, and we're going to use this interpreter while setting up our IDE and everything. So, okay, so once you install that, so you're going to find out this particular folder there, and that is the important thing that you need to be able to see here. Okay, so the next thing if you want, like, once you install that, okay, if you want to check if you've installed everything correctly, go into your command line again, okay, and then type in PHP version, something like that. Okay, so if you go and type in something like that, PHP version, if you're going to see the PHP version you have here, that means that, okay, the PHP is in fact accessible from your current directory. Okay, so if you go through the installation, it will go and add the environment variable path into the PHP interpreter, and you will be able to go and access PHP, that file that I showed you here. Yeah, this file, this executable, okay, from the command line. So if it's not, then you can go and add this particular path, okay? This whichever path you installed into your environment variable, path environment variable. Okay, so now we have it. Now after installation, again, I'm not going through the installation. I have it. I just downloaded it, and let me show you that I downloaded it. Okay, yeah, I downloaded it, and yeah, so this is what I downloaded, right? So you just go and press installer. It simply goes and shows me the wizard, and after that, it will kind of install everything. So after installing this XAMPP, the next thing that I need to install is the Xdebug extension. So this Xdebug extension is required for us to be able to debug our PHP script, because it's it doesn't come out of the box, okay, with the interpreter. Debugger is some sort of an engine, okay, that we can connect to and then get all the information about the current step of execution, and then kind of integrate that debugger with our IDE. So what I really want you to do is you just go and click that, and then go to again to this particular page where you can again find your operating system, whichever operating system you're running. If you're running Linux, you can find out the details of installation for Linux or for Mac OS. And for Mac OS, for Linux, it's pretty easy. You can go and use the package managers like apt, and for Mac OS, you can go and use Homebrew. But for Windows, you just need to do a little bit of copy pasting here. So let's go and let me show you the Windows version, and then you can go and do the so you see this, just simply just go and execute this command line, and it will kind of work. For the Windows, let me go and click the Windows, and then the next thing you're going to do is you have to go and click these instructions, okay? So you click these instructions here, and there's this link. So this is the wizard. So now what it asks is, it asks you to copy paste your PHP info message here. Okay, so how are you going to get that PHP info message? Okay, first of all, remember we've already installed XAMPP on our computer. So if we installed XAMPP on our computer, we should be able to find XAMPP control panel on our computer. So you'll go and search XAMPP control panel. Now it will open you this panel. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go and start the Apache here. So go and click the start button. Once we click this start button, you can see that now Apache hosts, okay, in our local host, because it's by default set to a local host to the same computer, listens to this particular four ports, port 80 and port 444. So let me go and say localhost and press enter. Now I'm going to see, okay, the dashboard. Okay, so this dashboard, again, I'm just writing localhost. This is my computer, and this entire web page is now hosted by Apache. Okay, and Apache is now showing me this page. So this page means, okay, now I can go and see information about my PHP and everything. So in this particular menu, you're going to find a tab called PHP info. So if you go and click this one, if you go and click PHP info, it's going to show you all the different plugins and all the information about your currently installed PHP interpreter. Okay, so you can go and find everything here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and click view source here. So it contains some HTML. So let's go and copy the entire HTML, Control A, right? So what I'm doing is I'm selecting all and then copying. So let me copy the entire HTML, come into this wizard here again. I'll come to this wizard and then press, okay, copy paste. I'll copy the entire HTML of this PHP info into this wizard, and then press analyze my PHP info. So now currently it says that I have already installed Xdebug extension on my computer. Okay, so what you need to do is, okay, you will have you will have the, okay, not installed here on your computer. So what you will do is you have to go and download whichever version that is given here. You have to download this file. You just need to follow these instructions. You have to move this file to your current location of your PHP interpreter, to this location. In my computer, it is this location. On your computer, it will be different. So you have to just follow the instructions that are given here. So it says download this file, go to PHPX, and then move that file to that PHPX, and then give the path inside the PHP ini file, and then you have to restart your whichever web server and so forth. Let me go and show you that. Okay, so I actually downloaded that file, and I can go into my PHPX folder here. Let me go into my PHPX folder. You can see there is a next folder here, and then you can find that this file is already there. Okay, and now I have to go back into my PHP folder and then open the PHP ini folder here, a file, and then I have to set. So I opened the section PHP xdebug, and I set the Zend extension to the path. See, it is the absolute path, not the relative path, to the absolute path of my xdebug extension. Also, I added up this 3 lines of code because I want this my debugging engine to be running at my local host in this port. Why I'm doing this? Because my IDE will go and connect to this particular host, and this particular port, and it will be receiving all the information about my execution of a particular PHP script, and then from that particular host. And if there is a breakpoint, it will go and stop and give me all the information. So I need this data to be set as well, along with this one. It's not written here, but you can go and write it exactly the same way I did, So go and write it like that. So this way, you're gonna, don't mess up with anything else in your PHP ini file. Just go and add this, let's say 4 lines of code, 4 lines of settings into your PHP ini file. So let me close that one now. Let me close this again. So now what I can do is I can come back again into my command line, and then again I can go and write PHP version. So if I do PHP version now, if I see this in my PHP version, if it says xbug, xdebug 3 or whichever version, if I see this information in my PHP, this means that my PHP interpreter now recognized this particular debugger. Now it can go and use this debugger, to do the debugging of my PHP scripts. So we'll come back to that. So this is important part. So we should be able to see this on our computer screen. Cool. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we have to go and download the Chrome extension. There's a Chrome extension as well. Again, this debug works with the a Chrome extension. So and you have to go and set up the Chrome extension if you're going to test your web applications in Chrome. So you go and click this link, and if you go and click this link, you're gonna find so you're gonna find, I think you can search for that. It's not showing here, right? Yeah. So you can go and search for a xdebug helper, right? So inside your extensions, Chrome Web Store. So go and search xdebug helper, right? So you're gonna find that here. So click here, and then you can go and press add to my Chrome. So once you add it, you're gonna see some like a bug-like thing here. That is important too, because we will be using our web Chrome Chrome browser to debug our PHP scripts. And if you turn it on, then it will go and establish a session with the debugging engine. And every time we go and reload something or send a request, it goes and sends it to the engine, and the engine will go and start running the the code, and then it will go and, let's say, activate certain breakpoints and then give us certain state. So it is not that kind of straightforward when you come to the debugger, when we PHP. We need to have additional library for that, but no worries if you go and install that thing. If you see this particular small bug in your Chrome extension list, that is enough. Okay, so now that's it. That's it. That's basically three things that we need to go and set up on our computer before we go and start working with the with PHP. So let me go and stop this Apache server. We will not need this Apache server anymore. We will need it maybe later when we deploy our web application to some web server, and I'll show you how to do this with using PHP Storm. But right now we don't need it. We just stop that and we minimize this thing here. Okay, you can simply close that one as well right now, but let's go and minimize it. Okay, good. So so now let's go. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So the next thing is we have to go and set up the PHP Storm, right? So, and then make sure that our PHP Storm sees our PHP interpreter, and it can go and work with the Xdebug to do the debugging. Okay, so for that, let me go and open the PHP Storm that I already installed on my computer. Okay, so note I'm not using Sublime. I'm using a special IDE, a sophisticated IDE for writing a PHP code, and I really recommend you to switch from Sublime to PHP Storm once you start doing the server-side scripting with PHP, because it will be very, very easy to work with PHP Storm because it has its nice IntelliJ and IntelliSense and so forth. So once you see this kind of window after installation, the next thing you're going to do is you have to go and click the configure here and then the settings, right? So once you go to the settings, you have to go and write PHP here. So we write PHP, and here inside languages and frameworks, we're going to find the list of PHP interpreters. So usually you're going to see no interpreter or something. But you can go and click this more button, and then click this add, and it basically asks you some location. I mean, it asks the name first, so you want to, let's say, other local, and then it will ask, you can go and see it says PHP, and you can go and find the executable, right? And whichever directory it is, currently it is, for example, here, right? So inside XAMPP, and where is that PHP? So you can go and select that. So, and then, so where is that? It's the PHP exe file. So you're going to go select that. So you can go and do that, and then press apply. So it will go and make it as a separate interpreter. So you have basically same two interpreters. Let me go and show you that. But because this is the same, you see it indicates the same file. Let me go and remove this one anyway. But I just showed you how to add your PHP executable into your PHP Storm. So this is the first thing that you need to do once you do that. Okay, the next thing you will do is So next thing you will do is I think that's here it is done, right? So you can go and press OK here. And the next thing you're going to do is you can go and create a new project. So let's go and create a new project, and you can go and choose whichever directory you want for that particular project. So let me go and write lecture 4, let's say A, because I already have lecture 4 there. So you just simply go and select PHP empty project here, and then press create. So it goes and creates you. Yeah. So it basically does some sort of a processing. Hopefully it will finish soon. Okay. So we can go and create some PHP file here. So let's go and write it index.php, for example. Again, we can skip that PHP thing. It will be PHP file. So now, okay, now I have this index.php. Now the next thing that I need to do, I need to configure the development web server, okay, and that the one that I can go and run, okay, on my browser. So in order to do this, I have to go and click this Add Configuration button. So now I just collapse this templates here, and it just gives me different ways I can go and run my PHP scripts. So I'll go and choose the default PHP built-in web server. So PHP interpreter actually comes, the ones that with the latest ones come with its inbuilt, okay, web server. So I'm going to use that same web server for that, okay, purpose. So I'll go and select this built-in web server, and I'll go and click create configuration here. So let me go and call that localhost. Okay, so this is the name of my configuration. I called it localhost. Again, it indeed, okay, hosts it as a local host at this port and so forth. Let me go and press OK now. So now I got a local host, right? So, and then, okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I would like to go and turn on my debug connection. So it goes and starts listening for the debugger engine, okay? So the next thing that I would like to do is write some PHP code. For example, I can go and say hello world, right? This will be my first PHP script code. I can go and write PHP. This is just the, okay, placeholder, the section, and I can go and write print PHP hello world. Okay, so now if I go and press play button, I can see that, okay, it goes and starts. Here in the below screen, I can see that it went on and started a local host at this port, okay, for that particular project. So I can go and open. So let's come here and say localhost, and you see that it is showing, okay, the hello world. So now I'm debugging it, right? So I can go and turn on the debugger as well. So this is my extension. See, it is green now. It means that it is debugging it. So now, okay, I can put a breakpoint here, breakpoint, and if I go and restart my application, so yeah, we can refresh that, and okay, so we don't see this breakpoint stopping here, right? So yeah, in fact, it will basically not work because our development server is not working. So yeah, there's one more thing that we forgot to do here, okay? So first of all, let me go and remind you here what we did. Let me open my PHP and my PHP ini file. This is the initialization file. It contains all the settings of the PHP. So remember, we set up our debugging engine to the local host. This is the local host to this port number, so 9003, right? So we forgot to set up our IDE to that port number. So let me go into the setting here, and then select debug here, and now you can see it's connected to a different port. So let's go and change it to 9003. So basically it's languages, PHP, and now I'm selecting the debug section. So let me go and select that and press apply here. Okay, so I'll press OK now. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on, it is usually like this, I'm going to turn on listener now. Now it is going to connect to the debugging engine, okay, and listen to all the communication that comes from the debugging engine. Okay, so now next I'm going to go and press this play button. So if I go and press this play button and then I come back here and then press refresh, now I come back to my PHP Storm, I will be shown this particular window which says, okay, there is a session going on, I'm going to receive something from the debugging engine. Are you going to accept that? So I'm going to say accept, right? So it says I'm coming, this server name is this thing, and the file name is this. So I'm going to be debugging this file, okay? So let me go and press accept. And now you can see that, the debugger actually stopped here, and I can see the entire context here, and I can see everything that I can do with that debugger. So I can simply go and click continue here, or I can take away the breakpoint and see my PHP script here. So now it's easy. Now I have my kind of web server ready. I can go and look into my terminal from time to time, run here from time to time, and see that, okay, that didn't stop and it's still working. As long as I see this, okay, stop button here, it means that, okay, my web server, my development web server is in fact running. I can go and do changes here, and it will obviously go and interpret all the changes. Okay, so let's go and now start doing a little bit of a PHP. So we already did the hello world, right? I showed you the hello world. So there's one more thing that you need to understand about viewing a PHP output. So if you go and try to open, let me go and try to open this file. So you probably have this file somewhere, right? I can go and open it in my Explorer. Okay, so this file is here, okay, and if I try to open it with a browser, that will be like something like that. Obviously, that doesn't how it works, right? What I'm doing is I'm simply asking the browser to read the file for me, and the browser is simply going and reading this file for me. But if I go and do something like that, what I'm doing indeed is I'm asking the browser to send a request, HTTP GET request to the local host, to a different program, okay? And browser doesn't care, okay, where this program is actually running. In fact, it is running on my computer, on my development server, but it doesn't matter. The browser simply goes and sends that HTTP GET request to this address, to the local host address. The web server running here will receive that particular request and then generate the content, the HTML content, or whichever content you wish. It goes. This is the source of this is the response body. You can go and do some inspect here and say network. So you're gonna find that I'm just sending an HTTP GET request to the local host, and I'm getting this response. This is just a text I'm getting as a response. So this is the proper way of communicating between the web server and, okay, the browser. This is the local web server. This is a development web server. And this is the browser. Browser sends the request to the server. Server processes it. How it processes it? It goes and runs the PHP, right? PHP script, and then generates the text and puts it into HTTP response and sends it back to the browser. Browser sees this entire thing happening here. So that is something that you need to understand, okay, if you would like to, okay, understand the entire business of server-side development. So let's get ourselves familiar with the basic PHP syntax. Okay, so whenever we're writing a PHP, we usually go and, as we said, embed the PHP code inside some text. And it turns out that this text is some kind of an HTML. So I can go and write some HTML content, and wherever I want, I can go and write some PHP content. Okay, so something that is going to be executed, and something that is kind of static, right? So this is how I can go and switch between different modes, okay, HTML and CSS. Okay, so there is a big the comment that we already used here. So let me go and first show the way how I can embed things. For example, I have a document. So this is my, let's say, first web document, a first PHP on dynamic service, let's say dynamic page, right? And let me go and say this is my first dynamic. This is my first dynamic page, and put some paragraph here inside. I can go and open, so let me get rid of this PHP. I can go and open a PHP, a PHP tag, and inside that PHP tag I can write my PHP code. So currently what I know is the print command, and then I can say hello world. Okay, so let's go and set it to h2. So, and let's get rid of that. Okay, so it goes and puts this particular text. This particular PHP script outputs this text, and this text is now placed wherever this code is actually executed. So let me come back into my browser again. Let me refresh the browser. Now I can see that, okay, it got changed. The font got changed. So if I go and view this, inspect the code, okay, so I'm gonna see, or I can simply go and view the source. Now I'm going to see that this is the HTML that I received, and this is exactly the same HTML. You can see that it's the first dynamic page, and it says hello world, and so forth, right? So in fact, okay, it can go and embed this entire, this text into the body of the HTML. I can go and write print and then print out a lot of different things. Yeah, the variables in PHP, they start with a $sign, and they are not declared, or they don't have they are dynamic type. They don't have a strong type. So because it's a scripting language, likewise many scripting languages, the PHP is loosely typed language. It's not a strongly typed language. And then when we are assigning a value to the variable, we can assign anything. We can assign a string, and then we can change it back to integer or to float. And I mean, as the program gets executed, the variable can go and get reinitialized over and over again with different values, right? So, for example, if I want to set the username to a string, I have to go and use that, and so forth. So again, let me go and do that for you. Again, there are many different supported data types as well, but these data types again are dynamic data types. So how do I know what is the data type of that particular value? I can go and use the get type method, or I can also check is the type function to check if the type is equal to something else. Okay, so let me show you some examples here. So instead of going and printing hello world now, let me go and define a variable, call it name. So my name is Sarvar. So I can basically define this variable. So note that I have to use the semicolon to delimit line. So I can go and declare my variable somewhere else, no problem. Let me go and define them here at the beginning, as we usually do in C++ or other languages. So I can go and say age, for example. Age is, let's say, 35, and then what? Let's say is male, and I can say true. This is a Boolean, right? So now I can go and write some information about me. Let's say, let me go and say DL. So DT, DD, right? So I can go and see, I can go and use emet even. So I can say name, and so let me close the PHP mode, and I can say print name, right? So it basically prints my name, and I can use another thing. Let's say age. So I can basically, there's a shorter way of writing this. Instead of writing PHP and then print, I can simply write like this. So this equal means it basically is equivalent to age, right? And so I can say Ismail, and I can say Ismail, right? So it basically converts true to 1 or something. Okay, so let me go and refresh my page. As you can see, okay, it shows me this entire thing. Okay, it is, oh, this DL is inside H2. Let me go and change it to paragraph so it looks a bit cleaner. Right, so yeah, got Salva and this one here. I can go, oh, my name is written wrong. Yeah. Okay, so I can go and find out the type of my, let's say, a variable. So I can say get type. See, the PHP Storm actually gives you a hint about the functions that you can go and use. I can refresh that. I can see it says Boolean and so forth. So there are a lot of different functions I can go and use. I can do the casting by by just writing the type of the type that I'm trying to cast at. These are the arithmetic operations. One thing that I would like you to highlight is this dot thing. Dot represents a concatenation, not in Java, in C++. When we use this plus sign with integers or with numeric types, then it means addition, right? If we use it with characters or string values, then this plus means a concatenation. In PHP, this dot, concatenation is a different operator, so you have to use this operator instead of plus. Plus is addition, concatenation is this operator, okay? And these are simply incremental shorter notations for different operators. For example, if you go and write plus and then if you add two types, okay, because this operator requires two numeric values, it will go and try to implicitly convert the string into some numeric value. So if it contains a number, if the first kind of character in this string is a number, it goes and converts it into that number. If it's not a number, then it simply sets it to 0, and then it will be like whichever the sum of that particular expression. In this case, it is 7, so it goes and it successfully converts string 7 into the number 7, and the result will be 12, right? Okay, so we can go and create comments, right? So in PHP Storm, the hotkey control / will make comments. So for example, I can go and do some comments here. So if I do something, I can toggle different comments. And if I toggle them like this, okay, you can see it's even highlighting that this particular variable is not, okay, declared. There's no declaration here, as you understood. Okay, so we can go and do some, again, string operations. This one will be converted into integer. This one will be like a concatenation, as we discussed earlier. Okay, so there are certain string functions. For example, string len will give you the length of the string. String comparison will compare two strings and return some integer. If the integer is positive, then this string is greater than this one. If it's negative, then this is less. If it's equal to 0, then it is kind of these two strings are the same. String position, you can search for a particular string in a given string. It gives you the index, okay, substring, you'll know all that stuff. String to upper, it's kind of two uppercase or two lowercase in Java. So we basically have these Java alternatives. Like there's one difference here, okay, explode and implode. Explode means split and the join, implode means join, but the way how you write them, you can always click this. For example, I basically provided all the URLs here. You can go and check the documentation and some examples of how to use these methods. These are simple methods. If you are a programmer, you kind of understand how to use these methods. But there are some examples as well. Okay, so so there's one more thing about PHP. It's the interpreted strings. Instead of using the concatenation and writing a lot of multiple string expressions, we can go and write a one big string, and within that string we can embed some values into it, okay? Some variables into it. For example, I can go and write down age, like this. For example, I can go, because I got an age here, I can go and write something like that. So I can say my age is years old. Okay, so this will be considered, because if I'm using a double quote here and there, I'm creating an interpreted string which can contain some variables within it. Make sure that the variable is started with this $sign, right? So if I go and refresh my screen, yeah, I can see that this variable is got updated. So, but if I go and change this to a single quote, then it will be just a string. Okay, so in this case, this is just part of a string. So this is just how we can go and have like multiple different types of strings. Okay, the ones which with a static content or the ones with an interpreted content. Okay, so let's go further. Sometimes you would like to append some text into the actual variable. Maybe you would like to separate the place where you want to embed your variable. Okay, in this case, you can go and use the curly brace, and then right after the curly brace, you can go and write down the string that has to follow that particular value, right? So that's pretty easy. Okay, because we cannot declare the variables before, it's kind of difficult to figure out if the variable's been assigned or not assigned. So by default, all the variables, the ones that are not even written, they are set to null. Okay, so that is like PHP doesn't distinguish if the variable is declared. I mean, if the variable is declared or not. It simply goes and checks. If it cannot find the variable, it will set its value to null. Okay, so if you go and invoke some variable which hasn't been assigned previously, then that variable's value will be equal to null. Okay, so how you can go and check if the variable has been declared or its value is equal to null? There is a special method called isSet, which tells you if the variable has been declared or its value is equal to null. Okay, for loops, pretty straightforward, same way as we usually do with the for loops. Okay, it has three sections. Okay, the initialization, the continuation condition, and the step at every iteration, things that you need to do. You can go and do that, okay, yourself. These are the Boolean types. Again, because PHP converts everything implicitly into the required type, it can also convert any data type into a Boolean too. So how it will do the Boolean conversions, okay, there are certain values that will be converted into false, sort of falsy values if you like. For example, if 0 needs to be converted into Boolean, okay, let's say if you're using 0 in the place where the Boolean expression is required, for example, the if statement, or you're using some Boolean operator, for example, okay, like AND or. So in this case, the 0 will be converted into false. The float, this is an integer 0, this is a float 0. Both of them will be converted to false. Empty string or even a string with a 0 will be converted into false. Okay, that's kind of weird, right? In PHP, it is weird. Why there's the string with the value 0 will get converted to false. But that is that. Okay, that's how work. Of course, the undeclared, unset variables also will be set. I mean, the ones which contain the value null will be also converted to false. And the arrays with 0 elements will be converted into false. Okay, anything that is not in this list will be converted into true. Okay, so if the string contains something other than this, will be true. If the value is anything other than this, even if it's a negative number, it will be true. Okay, so that's something you will need to remember about PHP. This is the if-else statement. Pretty simple, exactly the same as Java. I don't need to go and explain you that. And this one I don't need to go and explain. This is the while loop. This is the do loops. This is just the syntax. You just need to familiarize yourself with these things. And these are the math operators, similar to the math library that you have in Java. Okay, so these are the functions. You can go and pass on some values into the functions. You also have certain constants that you can go and rely on if you really need them. Okay, these are the mathematical operations. How you can go and convert things into float. See, if you divide, okay, division requires so integer for integers, okay, the float for reals. So you can go and divide 7 by 2, and the result will be a float number. So it is not like an integer division here. You can also convert any value into integer explicitly like this. For example, a is a float number. If you explicitly convert it into integer, then it will drop the floating point part. So it will be 3 or something. So all the divisions are like decimal divisions here. Okay, talking about arrays, the arrays can be declared like this. You have a keyword called array. You can pass on some multiple values and then have an array. You can access array by their index. You can assign a value to the array by this. And moreover, you can go and append a value to the array in this way. Note that there is a method for appending a value, but you can go and do that using this expression as well. This is kind of a bit weird if you're a Java programmer, but still, this is the way how you can append a new value into the array. It's sort of a list kind of stuff, if you can append it. And this is just an example. It's an empty array, setting the first element of the array to 23, and then creating another array and so forth. So I'll show you some example with the array as well. So for example, we can go and use one of these methods. This will give us the total number of elements in the array. So let's go and let me show you the for each loop, because I don't really want. This is example of how we can go and create a different array, and then go through the elements with an ordinary loop and just use that. We can add new elements using the array pop. So it is an in place change. Okay, it goes and adds that. It takes the value from the array, it returns the value. But if you say array push, you don't have to assign this back to the same array. It does the adding in place. You can reverse the elements, you can sort the elements of the array, or you can even slice the elements of the array, right? So there's one other way of iterating through the arrays. It's easier way of iterating through the arrays, which is for each loop. So you can go and write the collection first and then the item. So let's go and do some example with that, with this. Okay. So here, let me go and open another paragraph. And in this paragraph, I'm going to create UL and Lee. Yeah. So now I would like to, let's say, list different items, values, let's say. So let me go and define some array here. So let's say shopping list, and I can say array, and then say bread, let's say milk and eggs, and maybe apples, something like that. So I'd like to go and write my shopping list. So I'd like to list all the shopping list here. So how can I go and do that? I open my PHP mode and I close my PHP mode. And here I go and write for each. And I'll say shopping list as item, whichever item that I want to buy. So I open the curly brace, and then I can go and open another PHP mode, and this one will serve as the closing PHP mode. Okay, so what I have here is, okay, something in between. So it might sound weird. Look, it's like I'm opening something like here with a PHP statement, right, for each, and I'm closing it. And in between, I have something like a text, something static, right? So that is the beauty of kind of the PHP, because you can go and intertwine with the existing content, because the PHP script will simply read the PHP part, and it will execute it, and it will exit, and it will take the text as if as a constant. Okay, so it kind of reverses the way how we usually generate the content, right? So in C++ or in Java, we usually deal with the text as a string here, right? But now the process is reversed, right? So it's the string which is outside our context, and the code is something that is wrapped with this mode. So we are kind of changing the game. We are turning the tables, and we're making the script itself to be wrapped with some wrapper. But anything that is static doesn't need to be wrapped, right? So I can go and write it like that, and let me go and open another section in PHP and say item. So what do I have here, right? I have the repeating part, I have the static part, and again I have the dynamic part. So this entire construct, yeah, see, it enters, exits, enters, exits. When it exits, it just sees the static text. When it enters, it sees something that needs to be evaluated, and then again exits, enters, and something like that. So as when it reads and goes and runs this PHP script, it is going to go and evaluate every code and then fill the content with the text that needs to be there. So let me go and run the text. And you can see that it's basically listing all the content. I can even put a breakpoint here, because remember, we set up our debugger, and my debugger will go and stop here, and I can go and see this item is a bread. I can go and press continue, and it goes and stops. Now it's a milk. Or I can continue, okay, step over to the next line, and then next line, and so forth, right? So I can go and continue, or I can turn off my debugger, and that's it. So this is kind of, okay, you can see this example, and you can see the example for the for each loop. Okay, yeah, we can go and create multi-dimensional arrays. So just extend the idea that every element of an array is just another array, right? So you can go and create these arrays within an array, and you can like go through these arrays with a nested loop, like 2 loops, and then print them out the way you like. So first is the row, and then second is the column, or you can go and create 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional arrays, and so forth. Another important thing is the associative arrays, like dictionaries, right? We have dictionaries we have hash maps in Java. In PHP, they're called associative arrays. You can map a value, okay, not necessarily a string, into some other value, like integer to string, or string to something else, right? Some other array, for example. So you can go and create such arrays, and then you can access them by just writing down the actual text here, right? So that like usually access things like in hash maps. These are the methods again we can use for comparing the text. As I said, these are just like finding the substring and then comparing the text. And as I already showed, like when you're when generating an HTML, the way how you can generate HTML by using simply print lines is obviously ugly. It's obviously not readable, and the way how other programming languages like Java would generate a text would be ugly, would be like this, right? But PHP made it easy, as I said. It allows you to go and embed okay, text within the HTML itself. So we already did this. I already showed you in this example how you can go and embed, for example, a for loop like this. Right? So you write the heading of the for loop, you can closing of that, and anything in between will be repeated, whichever, like as long as the condition here is true. But this can cause some problems. Okay, for example, you miss this equal sign because, okay, you have to go and write something. Right? Yeah. Sometimes you can have like complex expressions. Okay. Again, for the PHP, it doesn't really matter where this particular placeholder is placed. Okay, you can go and put it not all the time, not always. You have to put it inside the tag. You can also put it instead of the name of the tag, for example. Again, this for a PHP, anything outside this region is just a mere text. Okay, so the PHP doesn't care about the structure of your HTML. It doesn't know about the structure of your HTML. The PHP will deal with your HTML that you write as if it's just a text. Okay. It doesn't care about, okay, whether it has its structural integrity and it just has a correct syntax or not. So you can go and put it here, for example, to generate headings with different levels. For example, this is just goes and generates you something like that. You can go and create functions in PHP, same way. Okay. Note that the PHP doesn't have a return type. It doesn't have the input type. Okay, it's just a list of attributes, and that you can just need to use a keyword function, and then use the keyword return to return the value for that function. And you can simply call the function as you would call the function everywhere. So you can also create some default parameters. Default parameters must be after non-default parameters all the time. You cannot go and write some other parameter which is not default after the default parameter. And how you're going to make it look like a default, you have to assign it to some default value, for example, like that. Here you can call this method with this one with single attribute or multiple attributes. Basically, function overloading in PHP. Okay. So another important thing about PHP is its include and require keywords, because it allows you to inject certain external PHP values, okay, into your PHP here. So let me go and create another PHP file, call it, let's say, header, and then I can simply go and take everything here. So this will be some sort of a boilerplate, my header, right? It's some sort of an HTML, right? And I can go and create a footer, for example, sort of, right? Let me get rid of this PHP and take this part, and this will be my footer. So what I can do now is, so this is my content area, right? My content area. So remember, we talked about something that keeps static and something that keeps changing. So we can go and make it using PHP easily. So I can go and say, open my PHP, and I can say include header.php, right? And I can copy that and I can place it here. I can say footer. So now I can simply use this template everywhere in all the pages, right? So all the navigation menus, my sidebars and everything can be inside the header. Something maybe on the bottom could be inside my footer PHP, but my content area will be just different from file to file, right? So if I go and open this particular page, I can see it's still generating that same HTML. You can see this is actually getting added into my response, right? These parts are getting added into my response. But now I don't have to go and duplicate this part everywhere in my HTML, I can simply go and reuse this over and over again. So let me go and reuse it. Let me go and create, for example, about.php, and here I can go and say, for example, yeah, I can say lorem. So we don't have lorem here, I guess, or it's not installed. So some random text. Okay, so I can go and get that from here into my about page, and into here I can go and take the footer. Right. So let me go and put it to one line just to make it look neat. Okay. Say content area, whatever. Okay, so let me go and put some link here. About.php. Let's say about me, something like that. Yeah. So let me go and refresh my page. Yeah. So I got my about me. I can go to my about me and I can see this random text. So if I go and change this, if I go and create a style sheet, let me go and create a style sheet. It's .css, and let me go and say body, font family, let's say Arial or sans serif, and let's say margin auto 0 auto, and then max width to 50 em, and then the line height to 15 em. So let me go and link it. So where do I link it? I would link it here inside header.php, and I can go and say styles.css. So I made a change in one place. So let me refresh that. Now it is taking the same style, but if I go to about me, it's also the same style, the same font, the same color, right? So I mean, I just change it in one place, right, in the header, and that's it. So now I can go and only worry about my content here. I don't care about anything else, right? About me, for example, right? So I don't care about anything else here. I don't have to copy paste everything from page to page, okay, to make sure that my content is there. Okay, so this is the important thing that people use. The include will work even if the file doesn't exist or its execution causes any problem. It will still continue the execution. Requires stricter version of include if the file doesn't exist or the execution will cause any error. It will stop the execution of the entire PHP script, so your content will not generate fully. So you have to go and, let's say, use include in most cases. Right, so you can go, this is just an example, you can go and split your content into smaller sections like menu, and then you can have one single file where you'll have all your menu items listed like this. So if you want to change the menu, just go to one file and then change it there, and it will go and be propagated to your entire website. Okay, you don't have to go and change it in multiple different pages. So again, certain repeating aspects of your application, you can go and separate it out into a different file and then use include to denote that. Okay, good. So the final thing is I would like to show is working with the files. Okay, you can go and work with some files in PHP. You can copy files. You can browse the files. You can go and check if the file exists. You can take some information about the file's size and if you could go and modify the file, okay, or read the content of the file. Okay, so basically there are two ways you can read it. File will simply give you an array for each one string for each new line. File get contents will give you this entire file in your as a string here. So let's go and check one example. So what it will do, it will take the file. Okay, maybe let's go and display the file, and then maybe reverse the file, and then save it into the same file. So let me go and do that thing for you. So let me go and create a new file, simple textual file. So where is that textual file, right? So yeah, there's no such file. Okay, let me go and create a just new file, call it poem whatever txt. So and then okay, so lorem. Do I have a lorem generator online? Lorem online. Yeah, just some lorem. Okay, let me copy that. I don't know why in PHP Storm out of the box I don't have the lorem generator, but anyway. So let me go and put it into new line, then the new line again, maybe. Okay, so I got 4 lines of lorem text. So what I want to do is I'd like to display that in some paragraph here, right? So I can go and generate a separate paragraph for that, right? So how can I go and do this? So let me go and open PHP here. So let me go and say lorem I can say lines. I don't have to specify what lines. And I can say for a file, and so poem.txt. So I can go and get the file here. So the next thing I can do is I can iterate through the lines, right? So I can iterate through the lines. I can say for each, and I can say lines as a line. And remember, how do I write PHP scripts? Yeah, I just need to open this PHP and then close it, and then I can go and write something in between. So I can go and create a paragraph, and inside a paragraph, PHP. Inside a paragraph, I can go and write, yeah, wait a sec, I can go and say this one, a line. Okay? So again, I'm creating paragraphs for each line of this text. So I can go and see this now. If I refresh my page, so you can see that these are my text files, okay? And for every line, I got a paragraph. You can see that here. So let's go and let's say save it in a reverse way. So I'm gonna go and do this. So let me go and get outside that for each loop. So I can format it nicely, sort of. So let me open the PHP section. And inside the PHP section, let me do one more thing. I can go and say file content or content, and I can say get file. Yeah, get file content, right? So file get content, sorry. File get contents, and then I can say poem.txt. I can say content is equal to string reverse, and then it simply reverses this content for me, right? And now let me go and store it. So I'll say file set content, or file okay, let me go and check that. File put content. Sorry, I can forget that. I always keep forgetting this. Yeah, content. Yeah. So now we have the content kind of swapped, right? So Yeah. Oh, so we have to give the file the path of the file as well. So the file name is poem.txt. Okay, so great. So let me go and refresh the page. So if I refresh this, goes and shows that. Next thing is, okay, you see that the text is got reversed, and I can go and keep refreshing it, and it simply kind of toggles. It refreshes and changes the text. So I can go and see the content of this particular file now. If I open this one, it's reversed, right? It's reversed. It goes and modifies that one as well. So the final thing that I would like to show is the glob thing, which you can use to list or search the files in your directory. For example, I can go and create links to these files, okay, by just using the glob parameter and then specifying the path to, again, relative to the current directory to that particular file. For example, I can say so let me copy this for each statement. I don't want to type it again. So what I want is I want files. So what are the files? So I can go and use glob, and I can specify the path. So I want all txt files, right? So, and I can say files, sorry, file inside files. And I can get the name of the file. So let me go and create an array here, and then I can say base, an anchor, and I can say, let me open the quotes, and I can say base name, or maybe I can go and store it as some variable. Let me go and store it as some variable. I can say file name base name, okay, and I can go and say file, so it will be the full path to the file, and here I would like to show only the file name, so I can say file name, right? So, and it basically lists me all the files, right, in this directory that matches this particular pattern. So let me go and refresh that. If I do the refresh, I'm going to see only one file, and it's kind of the same path, right? So I can go and click that, and it simply goes and shows me that particular text, right? So I can see this, and it's basically taking it. So if I go and add a new file, for example, let me copy the same thing, copy, and now let me go and put another one. Say we go and say past, and let's say poem 3, whatever. I got 3 files, right? So if I refresh that, you're going to see 3 files here, right? So PHP script actually sees these files, okay? It gives me all the information about these files, for example, file name, and also know the location of these files. So I can go and create some links to these files as well. So that's cool, right? That's cool. Okay. So hopefully that is clear. So yeah, there are some examples as well using like storing something in the address txt and then being able to unpack the variable into values using the list keyword. So basically this returns an array, and then we can assign the first element of the array to name variable, second to the phone, and the third one to this particular variable. So this is just an unpacking. You can go and look into these examples as well. So far, that's it. I think that is clear. Hopefully, we're going to do some practice on the lab, and see you in the lab. Thank you for your watching.